Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. I hope you all can hear me all right. Historical Fencing Guild is a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. This and many other shows, as my ever so helpful graphic is getting increasingly more dated, are available. Follow us on Facebook at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Alrighty. The Historical Fencing Guild is also brought to you by The Simple Sword and The Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tuckert. That's me. And we gain financial support from the Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the role-playing game. A delightful system I'm honored to have made. And I'm very glad that that's rolling. I also have the greatest patrons in the world. I am supported by viewers like you at www.patreon.com/thehistoricalfencingguild. Look for the boot. Every cent helps me keep the lights on, buy the parts to make the gear that I pretty much end up giving out half the time, and buy things to review to find out if it's worth you spending your money. So let me spend a little of mine and make life a little easier on everyone involved. Good evening, Cindy Kep. We are joined by the beautiful, talented, and amazing Cindy Kep in the chats. If you are new to the channel, please turn on the chat box or I will seem like I am completely 100% out of my mind. At least I won't be fully schizophrenic. She said she got proof copies. Woo! I am so painfully excited by that. So I need a sip of the good old-fashioned goat juice. Guys, I'm riding a little off today. I'm fresh from a couple doctor visits. Oh, are you out of my mind, though, brother? No. Well, a little bit. We're joined by Richard Asplin, longtime guildie, longtime friend. How you doing? Yeah, of course I'm out of my mind. Guys, you have to remember that I briefly had some medical problems that put me basically on lockdown in 2019. That means I'm a year farther than everybody else into this particular poop show that we call the pandemic. Alrighty, now, let me check this. I got some messages coming in. Nothing too important. Love you, babe. It's from my wife, obviously. Although I love you guys too, and I miss you, Richie, my big guy. Now, we have a lot to talk about, a lot to go over. One thing I want to point out, there's some really cute water bottles that are on deal for today at Purple Heart Armory. Go through my affiliate link. That way they get credit for sending you. And get some really cute bottles with a little, like, warrior bunny on them. I need to order some, to be honest. I will try to remember to send that link to my wife so I can clear it up, because that's how I do things. Okay, that doesn't need to be there. So what have you missed? This has been an exciting week for me. I just launched on the Red Valkyrie Presents an RPG game through. I will be GMing out of this is my favorite game that I haven't written. Basic fantasy RPG, and I'm running a fairly interesting ongoing game in a module I'm writing that I will then publish. That means there'll be sword fighting combat, exploding rats, and some very confused town guards. And that's just in the first, few hours. So, what have you guys been up to? I have been going through the doctors, making my list, checking it twice to make sure that I can be in prime chunky monkey health to move forward with the new improved season of the Historical Fencing Guild. Now, it is 100 blank degrees and 80-90% humidity, so all my outside work is just not happening right now, unless I want to mow stuff by dark. However, I want to give the deer a chance to find a new place to sleep other than my backyard. So, what's on the docket today? We've got a lot to talk about. I'm finally getting some funds cut in, so I will probably be ordering a new fencing jacket. I will probably be ordering from Superior Fencer, which, while I prefer Purple Heart Armory, their jacket doesn't have a zip front. and I'm looking for a hoodie style base layer fencing jacket that I can throw a plastron over, or I can throw, I can modularly armor up, but still be able to get off without interfering with the shoulder stuff. Richie, are you drilling? Because if the world ever straightens out, I know he's not around here anymore. There's a gentleman by the name of Ryan Corker who I want to get you two together. Both practitioners of Meyer Longsword, whirling and twirling. Now, I will admit, folks, as a little guy, that is not my bread nor butter, but it is a wonderful way to get things going. So we will definitely be looking into that. I also have it on good word that some chef's kiss things are coming out of Purple Heart Armory in the near future. John Miner, I am so glad to hear from you tonight, my dear friend. And I'm going to tell you why. John Miner is, of course, one of our corporate supporters, in that he sends me homemade training gear. And with the heat breaking and my hands finally not shaking enough that I can handle power tools, possibly, he pauses. We'll see. I can start some of those projects. But I've had several comments of interest since the video of you giving videos of you giving that's right. We did you know what? I do remember we had you guys spar. I'm sorry. I will be honest, part of the scramble between when I was active and now, it has had some actual mechanical memory issues where everything's all knotted up. That's not anything you did. It's just a side effect of some really rough stuff that I'm coming out of. When you go to talk to a doctor and you talk to the dietitian type person, and they're like, "Well, you weigh this much," and in my case, it's 354 pounds. That's hunky. And she goes and looks at me. I go, "I'm happy because only a couple months ago I was 378." So I am making the slow, hard decisions to get where I want to be, so that by the time the guild can get rolling again, hopefully I will be healthy enough and fast enough to be of some use to you wonderful lunatics. I got a message coming in on the sideline. Uh, yes. Okay. It was a reference to something cute, so we're fine. Now, guys, I want to hear from you a few things. We've got some topics, and one of them is a bit serious. We got a little bit of serious stuff to talk about. But yes, thank you so much. I was hesitant to talk about the actual numbers of my weight, but I realize I'm a big fan of the you you wear your weaknesses like armor and no one can use it against you. And I'm all about where I'm going, where I am. There's a lot in the back that doesn't need to come with me. And part of I'm discarding some stuff. I had a lot of bad stuff and it's getting better. And that, folks, you can't be ashamed of getting better. One thing I always tell people is, I don't ever want to see the equivalent of somebody making fun of the fat guy at the gym. You really want to get my biscuits burnt. You talk about the fat guy at the gym. You go, ho, ho, ho. No, that dude's trying to do something about his situation. The guy who's working a crummy job because that's the work he's got. You respect that person. He, she, it, they. Yeah, but John, you're 6'6". I'm 5'7" on a good day. So yeah, I weighed more than you. And I'm glad you're down. I'm taking a slightly different route than you did, and that's okay. But thank you for the support. It's gonna get better. Oh wow. Oh God. I'm sorry. An old song from a old musical ran through my head. Uh, but thank you. Well, let's leave the Nikki stuff off. Come on now. Especially, there is a very small group of people allowed to call me that. Your mother's one of them. Well, I I'm I am sorry. Pipe that back. I like bats. Besides, that's Aussie's business. I leave that to the professionals. And seriously, do we really in 2021 want to make a joke about biting bats? Let's pause. I'm going to say no. Alrighty. So let's talk shop for a minute. We're going to talk about the serious stuff and then the mechanical stuff, which is more fun. I want to talk about an important concept in what we do that I see doesn't get bandied around enough. And that is the concept of consent. Hey, Thesis, great to see you. When I talk about consent in and say, hi Foxy too. What I'm talking about is when you're doing Western martial arts or any martial arts, especially if you join a group where it has other elements such as role play or hierarchy or historical reenactment, you need to understand not only that there are rules of what consent is, but that it's farther than just where people tend to put it. When you are working with someone, especially when I'm working with someone new, I have to ask a whole lot of questions and I have some rules. I won't work with someone new alone because I may have to say, okay, your stance is a little off. And sometimes people don't get, I need you to move your elbow here. And I've gotten very good at verbal instruction, but sometimes and it's better to do what's called hand over hand, where you put your hand over their hand, elbow, or some other body part, and obviously a non-sexual, no weirdness way, but it's like, okay, you're putting too much weight on your knee. If you push this way, do you feel the difference? That sort of thing. But you always have to make contact, make discussion before you do that, so that some people aren't comfortable with that. That's why I've been known to use something very akin to my my stick here, my cane. If I'm able, I'll reach up and be like, that leg needs to go in, because some people really aren't comfortable, and sometimes reach is obviously a problem. This needs to be discussed ahead of time so there's no surprises. Now, you said, why do I prefer to do stuff not alone and with cameras running? I like to work with people and spar with people with cameras running whenever possible so that there's no confusion, no mistake, no impropriety. And we have to, in this day and age, as much as being safe on the field, we have to be safe for our feelings, and we have to be safe legally so that people can't say, oh, I'm not sure he wasn't doing something wrong. So that's something, especially because a lot of people come to me are they're learning to teach. They've learned their style. And they've come to realize that teaching is a related but separate skill. Yes, I'll avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Now, and it's funny because I joke, I make a lot of humor. Some of it can be pretty colorful. But if you've been around me, and sometimes my students get almost freaked out by it, that's one of those things that gets turned off as I step onto the list field. The Nick on a list field is a very different creature than this wonderful Hawaiian shirt clad, charming person before you today. I take it deadly serious. Now, I'll be fun, I'll be light about it, but hi, Foxy. But I get very by the book, and sometimes that wigs people out. And I'll say, you want to goof around? Goofing around is fun. Do it safely and off my list field, and don't disrupt when I'm teaching. I get kind of cranky about that. You know what? Chalk it up to whatever you want. I'm a rooster through the Chinese zodiac. I'm a Virgo through the standard E zodiac, and I'm just an old fat man sitting down happily and proudly to be 40. I'm just kind of done. I'm going to do things my way. But that's the other thing, and you have to be careful. No group should become your identity and your existence. Right, you have to be professional and in control. And you have to leave like there's blast radius. The list field stays on the list field. That means if you're sparring, you should be doing it in something like a designated list field. Now it's possible to have very loose designations of a list field, but it's safe. You're not going to break anything. Nobody's going to get hurt. No one's going to randomly walk in. So you've seen some of my list fields are very diverse, especially with experienced people I fought with where I know how they move, they know how I move, and we're experienced enough we can keep watch each other's back. Well, not well. See, that's interesting. You say what happens on list field stays on list field because that ties into the concept of the sovereignty of the Soleil, where you know when a swordmaster would train someone of higher rank, perhaps even royalty, there was an understanding that the royalty would not hold it against you have to strike them with a weapon as part of training, deftly and safely as possible, of course, depending on the instruction, the situation. But they can't be like, you struck the king and chop your head off when it's your job to teach them how to fight. Likewise, if you don't like what the king's doing, you can't take that as an opportunity to wail on him. Wail on Prince Zuko or whatever. So it's been an interesting week, Foxy, and I covered it a little bit real early. I'll get back into it again after the segment. That is important. Now, I do say if you're physically able, drill lightly every day, bar minimum. You pick up you're a comfortable lightweight SSO, and now see that's right where we run into the problem. Even on an active list, I ask if I'm allowed to strike the Royals. That part is where it's historical, but it peeves me off because that's what's wrong. You know what? Wow, you walked into a rant, and I'm going to say it because I can. That's what's wrong with the SCA, and that's what's wrong with the fight by merit system. When people hit the list, and I found this with fencers, who because of their rank, they thought they didn't have to follow safety rules. I've seen it with heavies pulling rhino hiding. I've even seen it on like the thrown weapons field. I've seen people have trouble getting someone not to be throwing weapons because they're intoxicated, and them cite their rank as an excuse. When you're on a list, whatever the list is, it is the most democratic concept there is. It is the great equalizer. And if you are there to learn, the only hierarchy that matters is the student. Ooh, that's funny, Cindy. Is the student and the teacher, or it's the colleagues in conversation. Optimally, it's a little of both. You hang all your work stuff on that list pole before you come in. Okay, RPG and buffer is fun, but like John was talking about, when you have any group where you have a persona, because I'm going to tell you, the SCA is a historical LARP. I said it; it's the truth. They take a pretend name, their authorization sheet. If you took their authorization sheet, put it on one side, you put their awards and rank on the other, you have a heck of a character sheet. And that aspect can expand far larger than it has any right to. And I've seen that in multiple groups. So when I talk about the consent, there has to be a consent where the line is. And you know what? I've seen that. I have seen that where it's better and worse in different groups. It's better and worse in different scenarios. But that is why I avoid a ranking system heavily, other than someone who I deem an instructor who can teach the basics. I've only had one person pull a pretty hard Anakin on me, and really get upset about not being made an instructor. I said, okay, you were well enough, but I gave him a tangible, and it went really badly. I will never make that mistake again. But once somebody's an instructor, especially it's an instructor in what they know. So what'll happen is I'll say, let's talk. Somebody like John. John does not teach the simple sword because it's not his style. He had many styles before, but he understands it as a language. So that if somebody's on a practice, I can say, okay, John can show you just about anything you know in X, Y, or Z. I usually use him as my go-to. Like he's a good go-to spearman, good go-to. He's also very good for larger fighters. Glaives, pole arms, sword and board to an extent, depending on the feel. Basically, I cater things to his strengths. Now, some people I'll be like, no, you want a more fencery, work with me or work with Trelena. Now Trelena is a special exemption. Trelena is one of the few people where if I got shot today, if I got shot down by an unknown assassin for one of my myriad of useful indiscretions, I have absolute faith if she were so motivated, she could handle maintaining the spirit of the simple sword as intended. But that being said, if you're here, we're talking about how to fight, how to get better. Outside of that, maybe we're making gear. The next circle out is we're not fighting, we're making gear, we're hanging out. It's still related. But there has to be a part where the line between your club reality and your personal reality diverge. And if you ever have to choose between your club and your personal, you should choose your personal. And your club should understand that. I nearly lost friends because I would not have a fighting bout, fighting practice at my wedding. And I said I didn't want alcohol, and they still at my wedding, because that was a stipulation of my wife's pastor. He would not perform the ceremony, and they still literally broke in to get booze. I did not consent to that, but it happened, and we worked through it later. But you have to be careful because the kind of thing we do draws strong, powerful, motivated personalities. And it's very easy for them to well-meaning roll right over you. And this is a hot take, but it's something I've seen a lot of. This whole now this isn't bashing because some folks they're the best people in the world, but sometimes you have to go, no, I said no. And you have to wave like this, and that happens. Don't be afraid to do that. And I'm saying this because an individual, because I don't want to, engender them, came to me and asked about a similar problem that was much less pleasant than all of this. An instructor in their group was not only taking advantage, but interfering with workplace stuff. I'm the guy, threatening to interfere with romance, and I had that experience. My first fencing instructor, in the SCA, actually told me to drop my fiance because he had a problem with her teacher. And my fiance obviously was my wife, and her teacher is John Minor. So you want to guess how I chose? But and that's the thing. Good people, there are good people and there are strong people. Some will use it right, some will use it wrong. You have to in life understand that while there may be a price in company, you don't have to consent to an excess. Exactly. And I'm normally I'm much more careful about. You'll notice I'm not dropping any names. Yes, I was told to advance, and then afterwards I was violently sabotaged. And the individual who did that tried to actually sabotage my education and my employment and that of my wife because they didn't know where the game stopped. And the best way for that is we are at a point where boys will be boys has to have a line because it permits people to misbehave. And this isn't cancel culture. This isn't racial or anything else. This is about anyone of any background, education, whatever, overstepping what is right and proper. And that is it's a method of gatekeeping and it's a method of manipulation and it's a type of bullying. So you know that gets my fire going. And I want to say to the person who I hope is watching this, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid of how your friends will view you if you look somebody and say, no, you know what? I know there's a big event this weekend, but I've had plans to go to, a family outing every year. I'm going to that. And here's the thing, if establishing healthy boundaries ever threatens your career in a group, walk. And there's no shame. There's no shame in being scared. There's no shame in being angry. And I will tell you, anyone you have to cut loose in that situation, friends, that is the removal of a negative. Because no matter what you thought you were getting out of that, if they will turn on you for a LARP, yeah, then they're not friends with you. Their character is associating with your character. Walk from that. That is the kind of drama that undoes what we do. And that's why I like to talk about, okay, this is a sword simulating object. We're going to use this for now because it's safe. Or I will grab another thing that looks more sword-like. Whoops. I just dropped the demon horn and nearly tripped over things. This sword, yay. This fits me real well. Let's talk about that. Normally, this is my lane. This is where I stay. I reference this. This is an inexpensive tool. It works well. I cannot. Woo! I rolled a 1 live on camera. I cannot overexpress how important it is to just talk that and be goofy and be honest. That's where I like to be. But if they're making you choose between friends and family, between religion, whatever it said, because trust me, I've had offers and issues from assorted parties. Hey, I just rolled a 1. I love my bracers of stability, but they do interfere sometimes, especially late in the day. So don't be afraid to say no. And what I learned over the course of 2021 was in our regular lives, a lot of people have no concept of consent. You say, please don't do this. And because they're friends, they're relatives, or they're people who are in power, they will do it. Sometimes lawful, unlawful, they're in charge. They feel great. I've walked from jobs because of it. I've dropped classes because of things like that. I've certainly ended associateships and left business opportunities if I think something isn't right. Hey, today is a kind of day. Don't feel bad. I'm only this far into my caffeine. When I get about here, I should be feeling better. So, to that person, don't be afraid. You're not alone. You're not walking that path alone. And anytime you want to comment publicly here, not saying you have, not saying you haven't, you'll find support. And even if you just lurk in the background like some really cool people do, although I do appreciate when y'all hit the like button, that's okay too. I don't mind, this is going to sound crazy, but I came many years to the assumption that if somebody can hate someone without knowing them because of whatever, skin, religion, clothes, whatever gets their rocks off, not the fact nothing gets their rocks off, whatever. If they can hate somebody for that kind of stuff, I can love everybody. So that's what I tried to do. John, you don't lurk. You loom and then lean in to get people to jump when you mutter, Bing! Yeah, so no, you don't lurk. Now, and good evening, Joe Bachman. And I have to borrow both you and Trelena and appropriate your images a little bit for a side project. I messaged her, but Trelena checks her messages about the way I check my Yahoo account. He's Lurch. He's Lurch. Yeah, take Lurch and Hagrid, and you kind of get current John. He's svelter. You guys saw him. He's looking lean. John's doing good. Me, hey, I'm a hobbit, but I'm working on it. So I hope that addresses the questions I was asked, and if not, my private messenger is always open to you. The public message is open. You can comment. You guys know how to get a hold of me. I'm even on Twitter now. I think it's @ntalkert. That's me. Look me up. I'm starting to cross my streams a little bit, so my gaming stuff is starting to come out more. I am so sorry, Foxy. I just got pinged on my phone about a certain Batman issue, and when you said hobbits make the best food, I just have to stop for a moment. Joe, you talking to me? I'm feeling fuzzy tonight. Please remove the wolf spit. John Miner, that's like somebody coming, hey, can we talk to you about our Lord and Savior Dracula? Won't you bite me? Won't you bite me? No, that's just a common myth. Will you please invite us in? And that's not a shot on Trey. Lord knows Trelane is one of my favorite people in the universe, and I know how busy and I respect her ability to go nope. I really do. I have a couple friends who kind of ghost out. It's just part of their nature. And I'll be honest, I respect their and envy their freedom. I am incapable of it. I am a constant, consummate meddler. Now, that being said, guys, it's time to start talking once again about heat and armoring. When I wanted, like I said, we can get back into the gear stuff. And any questions, I'm going to scroll up real quick because I was kind of walking around. There's some great stuff about RPing, and I see it. Yeah, Vampire Missionaries. You have no idea. 1 second. I'm told these give me much better sound, but they are old style studio ears, and it gets a little gross. Now, like I said, I can't say anything because my Yahoo account years ago got discovered. So I'm sitting at there it is, John. Yep. There's a cave troll in the chats. Just thought everyone should know. All right. Now, there's a stuff called Under Armor. It's heat wicking underlayer. It's great for keeping the sunburns down. It's great for radiating the heat off you if you wear a loose overlayer. If you can afford it, my problem is I got chunky enough that I got too big for mine. It's harder to find. It's coming out of popularity. But really consider a base layer of something like Under Armour. You may have to save up. Walmart used to have a decent bootleg. But I really I am more scared of heat on the field than I am cold. I am more scared of heat than bruises, than breaking bones. I've broken bones on the field. I've strained things, pulled things, been cut. I've had my mask creased with a Schlager, which basically anyone who says it is impossible to cut with a rapier. Okay, let's bring this beauty out. This is my personal rapier. It needs a complete overhaul. I love it. It's still my favorite sword of all time. Of fencing grade. My little Bilbao is probably my favorite live steel of all time. I don't want to have to choose. This is a very narrow, it's about a half an inch, about eighth of an inch to nearly, about eighth of an inch blade profile, right? This is an oval. I prefer oval Schlagers. They're pretty much extinct anymore because they're sturdier. But I have had a 350 Newton, nearly new mask cleaved, dinged in with a crease by somebody using one of these because they were throwing a fit. And they got away with it because they had rank. Well, they're a so-and-so. My attitude is they don't deserve to be one anymore. So, yeah, you can cut. They don't cut as well as certain weapons. A cutting dedicated weapon will cut better. But yes, and yes, for some of us chunkier folks, I am all about your autumn practices. It's drier. You have the crackle of leaves, the cool air. By summer, you've gotten loosened up, hopefully through a lot of swimming, which I've yet to do this year. I really desperately need to. And while I will be visiting a couple pools, I need water, like with fish, adventures, underwater camera. I need to bring out my inner Jacques Cousteau. But until then, we'll deal with this. That being said, sweat, heat is your enemy. The other thing, and this is a great time, a lot of mask style things that were developed for the pandemic are coming discount. So let me talk about something. Pardon my Dracula meets Reed Richards hair. This is one of those little tubular kerchief guys. I got it while I was working at Earl Park Public Library, which I no longer do. I can't tell. Is that coming unthreaded? I'll have to look into that. Anyway, I didn't like it because when I opened my mouth, it sucked in and it gave a very waterboarding sensation. But, and I don't know if you can hear me okay. Oh, that's so nice. Whoop. Whoop. It makes a great kind of do-raggedy-do right here. And it keeps the sweat in my study, which is always blistering. The window faces the west, and the AC doesn't circulate well at this end of the house. So I just cook. Hey, just keep swimming. That's life. Yeah, you know what? And you, I've got to take a minute here. Yeah. We got some great commentary. Some fun at Vampire Missionaries. Works under chainmail. Yes, it does. You need a base layer under chainmail. Do not, please, friends, don't be that person who wears chainmail over bare skin. Pinches happen, hair pulls happen, and the sunburn. Until you've seen someone sunburn through chainmail and have to peel the mail off their skin, You do not. No chainmail. And yes, no chainmail bikinis. Just no. Just, guys, artistically, aesthetically, yay, it's fun. I got no problem. Even, hey, if you pay attention, even Red Sonja wears a scale mail bikini. And that's in the comics, folks. It is. So, but Richie Asplin says, do it just right or wrong, you can cut someone with a hammer. Nothing is foolproof to the sufficiently talented fool. Absolutely. So, guys, keep. Oops. I said I have a mild technical difficulty here. That, of course, I am rolling ones today, folks. So give me just a second. You see, I have a secondary charge cable for my phone because if I don't, my computer keeps trying to update and get hold of all the pictures and wiggity woos on my phone, which I have to work on. It's getting bogged down. Give a guy like me a camera and see what happens. So many skyscapes. Anyway, is it charging? Boom. No, it is not. Okay, so that will be a bit of interest in the near future. No dice, no dice. Cool. I got no problem with that. Now, while we're rolling back on, drilling. Yes, you want to fight with buffers. Hey, you don't need to wear much stuff. I want at least eye pro. You should be wearing face protection with most stuff you fight with, and I love a good fencing mask. Oh girl, you don't even want a tour of what's going on around me at the moment. Like, I've got an old HP laser jet 1020 that won't talk to my computer. I have a 3D printer in 3 foam boxes that my hands are too dumb to assemble. And oddly enough, Android seems to most of the time be fairly immune to the tech field of Nick. I suspect it has to do with it being Linux based, and everyone knows that Linux is blood and sorcery magic. Oh, okay. John says even with buffers, wear groin protection. Let's stomp this out. Always wear a cup. Like, always groin protection. And I will say plastron. My plastron's over there. But always, if you're fighting, like, why? Because stupid happens. I have witnessed stupid in so many varieties and flavors and tastes. I've seen people lose teeth to stupid. I've had broken broken limbs, broken ribs. Stupid and I are old colleagues. I fear stupid far more than death. Stupid is the greatest. Like, I wonder between evil and stupid, which is more dangerous. I genuinely wonder. Therefore, don't be stupid. Yes, and that's also proven. Joe says, if you can hit the smallest target on me, and I on, that is on me. That's true. Oh, Joe. I'm sorry, that joke just sunk in. Don't your face. I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy that because I know Trelana too well, and she smiles inappropriately. So anyway, guys, you got to light armor. And why am I talking about that? What you want to do is set up a layerable armor kit. Well, yeah, because Joe, I'm in when I'm broadcasting this channel, I actually start to get in the mental list field. You know, it's funny. Sherlock Holmes has a mental palace. I often have a mental list field where I can just step in and I can feel my way around. I can tell where people are, and I can basically Jarvis my way through a lot of fencing related problems. Hello. Awesome. Hello, Kitty. So basically, my buddy Thesis is living an anime dream because until anyone proves otherwise, both you and Foxy have variant ears, and I think that's a beautiful. And now for the TMI portion of the evening. But uh, I don't even know where. Oh yeah, okay, I see where that went. Sorry guys, sometimes I get a lag when comments hit sometimes, so I got to balance this all out. But what you want is to be able to again, if you have any questions, comments, interrupt me. Don't the people who know what's going on interrupt me all the time just for the joy of making me stutter. It's going to be one of those nights. Awesome. Now, I love it. What you want is to be able to say, okay, we're going to do light sparring. Maybe it's just the mask, a light gorget, depending on the jacket, plastron, and some hand protection. Maybe it's only light protection because it's hot or you're going slow. And welcome to the show, Kitty. We do love new people. Don't hesitate to ask questions or buy my books. But we'll have to talk because there is an old story about me and a lynx because I ended up somewhere and I ended up befriending a very large, very sociable lynx, and not like anybody thinking it's not like the literal animal. And I got just kind of spent an afternoon hanging out once. Great critters, far softer than you can imagine. But that being said, boink. Now, wow, that just derailed me, folks. That's good derailment. You want to be able to bulk up your gear. Oh, we're fighting a little harder. Okay, I'm going to put some extra plate on. And that's what I'm designing. I want a modular. God, I'm in trouble for saying, the AR-15 of fighting gear. I want to be able to swap parts out to do whatever I need to do now. Based first on a light, safe for me sparring that I can build on with, the idea being if I have the 350 Newton fencing jacket and I'm strip fencing with somebody like Trey, I throw a gorget on. My plastron's always going to be on. That's a given. Mask up. It's going to have an outer hoodie. And, decent long cuff gloves, and we're good to go. Oh, wonderful! Kitty says, Thesis has been doing his best to train me, but with me being in Canada and him in Utah, it's not easy. He has shown me your book to study, and it's been helpful. That is literally that is Christmas in July to hear people. Whenever I hear people are benefiting from my book, and we're talking about, of course, this is the shameless plug portion. Whenever it happened, the Simple Sword. If you have any questions, I can help. I always tell people looking at this, the very first video I ever shot on this channel is a much younger, much skinnier me going through the 9 guards just so you can see it. It's even in vertical format, so you can just watch it on your phone. Process what you do, build up from the bottom, and go. That's awesome. I love new students. I love new, even if they're not my students. The guild is not. You'll notice, and I tell people, this isn't the White Boot School of Swords. I'm not like, this is, you will fight my way. No. In June. Yes, I know it's June. Because I can't make the it's gonna be May jokes anymore. But that, time, space, reality have little to do with everyone's Hawaiian shirt fate. The mighty Manatee Man, master of marketing, is not, phased by little things like reality or accuracy. This is about education and feeling good. We build each other up. I can, until I open that window, all I know is it's a very bright scenario with one smudge because a very large spider got involved. Yep, and sword clinking, but heat. Hydrate. A good thing is make half strength Gatorade. Don't drink Gatorade full, you'll puke. But half or quarter strength Gatorade in a big pitcher of some sort, one of the spout ones, hydrate frequently. Sells a bit more. Mm-hmm. I look forward to hearing about what Kitty's style is, because I do love that. And it seems like I always have to have at least one person named Kitty in my life. It's ironic. Third or fourth. That's so cool. Oh, I am John Miner. Are you hearing? Oh no, it's a swordswoman who is bouncy. What? Yeah, see, water. It's. I have to get people to process it a lot. Getting sports trained people off Gatorade is a side step. Water and salty snack is. Pickles are your friend. You want to make a fighter happy. That big jar of pickles. I don't mean the big one. I mean the one that's in an aquarium. Really? I did not know that. And I didn't know you had a problem with coconut oil. That's fascinating. I deal with a lot of allergies, and my current diet is nearly forced veganism. Anyone who sees me eating fake meat, please do not think that the fake meat I am eating is a protest or anything like that. I haven't gone that Buddhist or anything like that. I simply have cholesterol that could kill 3 people. No, literally, that was what they told me at one point. It was enough to drop 3 people. I had problems. They didn't know why. My diet's not that bad. But so my current world is very rarely meat. That's actual meat and a whole lot of fake meat. And with my wife and son allergic to milk, a whole lot of fake milk too. But that's okay, because that's what we do to survive. I shouldn't have talked about that. I lost a viewer for a second, but we got one back, so I can call it good. Don't be afraid to hit the like button, because I am trying to fight the algorithms to get the idea that sword fighting is something that can be done. Now, unfortunately, because it is technically a weapon-based system, I'm fighting YouTube's like, oh, that might be, 2A. How you still have finger? Oh, good gloves. I've broken quite a few. And if you pay attention and you look real close, you'll see things like this. And most of my knuckles are scarred up. My thumb right now is a mess. I shouldn't. They've been messed. And hello, Christian Basil of Legend of the Traveling Chartist. If you guys are Doctor Who geeks at all, please follow his channel. And this isn't me just supporting a cool guy. He has like cool stuff. Like he talks to the doctors. Plus, he's on this whole bender of an alternate universe where Peter Cushing's doctor reincarnated. Who would be the next? You need to look into that. And yes, I shamelessly plug my friends. It's my show. I can do that. But yeah, heat is gonna be your enemy. You like Bender. So you want to do that. You want your armor to be modular. There's a temptation to get big clanking. This is my awesome armor. And your awesome armor is great, but your heat can get cooked. Oh, Kitty. Now, capoeira. I've seen capoeira good, and I've seen capoeira bad. So, well, I'd have to ask about the foot blades. But, Espada Daga. Purple Heart actually is selling a really sweet little trainer set for Espada Daga. And I can barely pronounce English around my speech impediment. So if I ever try to say something in a foreign language or I butcher a name, there is no malice. Also, while we're talking about that, I am originally from the West Coast. That means dude and man may apply not only to males, females, they, thems, objects, non-matter effects, situations, dice rolls. There's no malice or bigotry implied by that. I just want to clarify that in case there's ever a question. I do try to catch everyone's pronouns, but honestly, I am horrible with names, so we're working on things. But yes, Kitty, look that up if you're not using them. It's a nice, smooth training set, and I don't know if he has a guide. Who spotted it? I don't know if Maestro Ramirez has one. Where did I see the good review, the good manual and videos for that? Oh, my boy Doug Marcaida, hero to us all, it will kill. Uh, it will kill. I think he might have a video on that. If not, just about everything he does transfers real nice to that. I love. Okay, you want to talk short sword and long dagger? This is cake and ice cream to me. I absolutely love seeing that as a fighting style. To those of you who don't know, I'll go back over. I do my original primary focus that is publicly known. We'll put it that way. Is rapier with a focus on Gigante is my favorite, and then certain Spanish systems, including Thibault, and the modern works of Maestro Ramirez through the Revived Distressa project is really where I synergized a lot of my style with Tai Chi elements, Tai Chi Jin and Tai Chi Dao. Actually, ironically, I'm a big fan of the Dao. I just don't talk about it much because it's a different kind of flow. I am seeking to get into the scream of flow more, but it's a different pacing than what I'm used to. So, I'm always, do I like this? Do I like that? And finding what I do and then going. And it's basically, I walk around with mental chopsticks and I add pieces of styles into the stir fry I call my fighting style. Stir it up. Add some hot sauce on there. What's that, sweet chili? Does it burn? Yes, it's so good. A little wasabi. Yeah. No, 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 that is not code. When I'm being lascivious on this channel anyway, I am very obviously lascivious. But to this day, the sword I wish I had as a trainer in in steel is something like this. This is still my favorite. It is roughly a 1728 to 1780 something Spanish pattern, straight, sometimes referred to as a broadsword, Bilbao style from Toledo, Spain, very frequently popular in the Spanish colonies such as Mexico. This is John gave me this sword, made me addicted to this little short sword, and the rogue in my heart just will never give it up. But yeah, I will tell Cindy, spoilers, absolutely, with variant you can make fan work with fencing because I've done it. Yes. It basically becomes a sideways buckler variant, or you're either using it as a short stick. So simulacrum of that. I've been meaning I'm gonna have to make a new training fan or find mine. Well, find my wife's. I might have to order one. Anyway, it basically fights. What do I have? Oh, duh. I know. It's right. An open fan fights like a hardback book. What? Fights like a hardback book? Yeah. It's just angled a bit. Your parries, small board, hardback book. All of it makes you just have to be careful to protect your hand on the impact and rotate out. So it's really good for a deflection parry. So, what do I mean? Uh, in Jin, there is a lot of guided parries where instead of how do I explain it? It's hard. Where is my Jin? So I always get in these things and then I'm stuck looking for whatever weapon I don't have in hand, and then I will turn around when I'm not looking and I will see it. I know. Nick, you haven't organized your swords in a while. And I've had too many videos. Oh, okay, it is way off screen. So we'll go back to Sting, because remarkably, Sting is fairly Jin-like. It's got a leaf blade, but the overall balance works. Now, there is a way to pull a parry that, instead of opposing the blade, simply deflects it to go where you want. So you catch and you draw the blade. There's actually a really great video, better explaining it than I am right now, on Sword Sage. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an old friend and an old friend of the channel on YouTube, who you should follow. Even when I disagree with him, it's interesting. Great conversation. We many years ago did a video where he needed a talented sword dummy to demonstrate some of this, so that's where I come in. Really? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay, let's rewind. No. Let's see. I enjoy the Chinese and it's sparring. It just doesn't suit me. No offense to you. Oh, oh, that's delightful. No. There's nothing wrong with not liking to fight a style, but being okay sparring against it. That's literally what the guild is about. Because there are certain things in the world that bother me. And I never do anything for just one reason. I have something stuck to my glasses. It's rather annoying. Anyway, what bothers me in that case is there are too many martial arts who don't cross train. And because they don't cross train, or worse, don't spar, free spar properly, they never really test if things work or why they're doing certain things, because many martial arts are half lost. The form is remembered because there were images for the form, and perhaps some poetic, if cryptic, because in parts of history, this secret was people's business. Think of it in terms of what are the 11 spices, herbs and spices involved in Colonel Sanders' chicken. That's a secret, but it's a secret everybody talks about without really being sure. So there are a lot of martial arts where people practice it and they don't. Why is that? They don't. They don't understand. They don't know why they're doing it. What's the point of this motion? It's like I've known a lot of people who do Tai Chi, yet have never realized that Tai Chi has very obvious weapons intentions in the form. And from a person who's handled straight swords, especially, you see things like parting the wild horse's mane, which looks cool to anybody else, but when you realize you're drawing a sword, possibly a dao, because there's usually a slight curve to it, out and taking a high stance, the motion makes sense. A lot of it has been lost to the sense of the dance. Exactly, Kitty. You spar against different styles and never be afraid to say, I don't like the whole style, but I will take one piece of it. Like I said, I use a lot of Spanish footwork and a lot of Italian blade work, depending on what I'm doing. Partially because I tend to favor, for my balance, slightly shorter swords. And I've talked about that a lot on the videos. Well, yes, Scorpion Strike to the top of the head. Actually, the top of the head comes from John being that much taller than the vast majority of its opponents. To most of us, it's a shot from, actually, let's just use this. It's sheathed for safety. First, if you take first and you convert it over into Scorpion stance. So if I draw it, and I'm just going to go through the motion without breaking my computer. A modified version because I need, obviously, space. But I draw the sword out and I go through. I am in a position to go down. Now, that gives me a high guard if there's a chop that deflects, which is what we talked about. It can rotate up into a deflective parry. It can come straight down into a quick shot. Misinterpreted Meyer is a lot of fun against anyone. And Sword Sage is a entertaining opponent. Even when I disagree with him, he's always a fun fight, and I miss him. He's a continent away from me, and it drives me nuts. I miss sparring with him. I miss sparring with a lot of people. Oh God. All the Scorpion talk, unfortunately, is taking my mind back to the Black Scorpion, which was this wonderfully cheesy and appropriate superhero show that Adam West cameoed in. Great fun. I can't remember the actress's name. Absolute terrible problem, but yes. Probably not this year because I've got some stuff, but I am working on something that might attract Sword Sage if I can pull it off. And if I can, I would call it a win. We have to see. Like I said, I'm crossing a lot of my streams here, and I have a lot of knowledge base and associate base in, say, gaming conventions. Oh yes, yes. And Joe's a good fight. Joe's one of those good fights I don't always talk about because Joe. You know what? Joe is the Borg. He is always adapting, so it's very hard to tap down. Well, and that's how it should be. If you look historically, the best styles have been born when you have two or more people who are at a level of mastery. I don't want to say masters because suddenly they start levitating in people's minds. So Sword Sage made quite. But if you are my mind just derailed. I hate the heat. Oh, Step Back and Poke is a fine tradition. Joachim Meyer is a German great sword master, and he favors very long swords, rotational motion, sweeping actions. Great fun. If Richie's still watching, please give a breakdown on Meyer. I've looked into him. It's just he does it 15th century longsword German. That's so condensed. It's very. I'm trying. I know how to play. Have you played any of the Soul Calibur games? Siegfried is basically Meyer, or as close as I can pull out of thin air. Those big wide circles, the wheeling motions, Meyer for days. Heat makes me silly and extra forgetful too. And we're at the hour point, so I need to take just a moment to remind folks I'm a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And you know what? I'm going to say definitely Monday, hop on and see Nevermind the Furthermore. It starts at 10 o'clock with Brian K. Morris. That's probably, I'm totally saying favorites here. There's a whole bunch of other great shows, and more have been added to this lineup. A lot of it's comic book, a lot of it's independent author stuff. I'm involved with all of the above. So look that up. If you like what we're doing, please support my Patreon. I put the links in the bottom. And if you want to be able to talk from a position of authority on what I'm talking about, snag the Simple Sword and or the Fighting Axe. Both of these are available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Talker. I literally keep them as cheap as Amazon will let me, because it's more, as much as I need the money, and Lord knows I do, it's more important that I get that information out where people have access to it, they can share it. I'm honored to have international readers and to be able to help people learn this, this approach to the basics of understanding sword fighting. So you pick up a master's book like Meyer or Gigante, who I recommend everybody who likes rapier at all should at least read Gigante. It's very distilled, very friendly. If you don't like rapier and you want to hear somebody throwing shade on just about everybody, George Silver's Paradoxes of Defense. But awesome. Awesome. I usually have the Soul of Raphael. That should surprise literally no one. There are a few others I've been known to throw in there, but I like to keep a couple things in my back pocket just in case I ever see any of y'all. Oh. And this is not a magic potion brewed by a questionable court in thanks of my service. Well, no, John. Yes, you like Florentine 54 longsword, but I'm not normal, something like Abby normal. Yes, John is very large. His weapons scale to him, so they simply make sense. For the exact same reason that, though my main rapier is a 34, I truly love fighting with my 30-inch saber. It's a saber-rigged, diamond-bladed rapier. I love that because it fits my body mechanics. So if I put something like this, which is an old flexi dagger, and I'll probably have to retire this anymore. I hate to admit it, so I'll probably retape it, clean it up, retire it, maybe make some new sword riggings. Anyhow, this is one of my favorite offhands. I have a much prettier one downstairs, and then something short like that. That's comfortable for me. But I am an old rogue, amongst other things. I am incredibly multi-class in assorted RP terms, but awesome. Soul Calibur 4. I'm trying to think. What do I have? Do I have 5? I think I have 5. I was playing it. Yes, yes, John. I think you showed me your 30-inch rapier with and dagger with swept tilt. I'm pretty sure those were in the ones from the parking lot. But I really have fallen in love with that Bilbo's composite swept tilt rig on that little sword. This right here is pretty much the perfect sword grip for me. And yes, I know it's tiny. Yeah, South American fighting styles. South American. May I have some time on that one, Kitty? Because I can do some research. That's what I do. I don't have a lot of the South American in my bailiwick yet. That doesn't mean I can't. And I have a few references that can get me rolling. I'm trying to remember if there is a book deal on Purple Heart Armory or not for Dagger y Espada. That's funny. I say Dagger y Espada. I am dyslexic, dyscalculate, and completely scrambled. Sorry, I got distracted. Friend of mine's doing stuff. We'll figure something out. So, Kitty, there is a group called the Historical Fencing Guild Public Group. Some people said, wasn't there a private group? Yes, there was. And that's the group we use when we're meeting locally to say, who's bringing the plates? It's not a lot of fun. That's where, okay, we need water or who needs what gear. It's not. I made it private because people kept trying to join. It's like all it is people making mundane arrangements. The public group is where the memes are at. It's where the conversation videos. I saw actually a great Augosto's breakdown of his fighting style and what worked was a master class in deceptive combat. It's like, Nick, this is the Historical Fencing Guild. Why are you referencing MMA? Because we can learn from it. Oh no. Okay. Richie referenced a style that I have to talk about. I do, in fact, have two secret styles. And it's been a long time since I've discussed them because I don't believe in holding back. No, no, no. The what we're talking about is the fine art of Wagan Fu. And the fine art of Wagan Fu is where you wait for honorable opponent in Walmart parking lot and you run his over with a station wagon. The other is Run Like Beach, which I think is safe. Yep, Wagon Fu. If I were ever in a JoJo game, that would be like one of the summoning type things, just a station wagon plowing through people, Final Destination style. But yeah. So yeah, I take what I teach deadly serious, and I am very, very happy because a friend of mine just got something she was looking for. So I'm please. Well, okay. So while we're dealing with that, wow, my brain is just rolling today. That's what happens when it's 100 degrees. I'm an Oregonian, folks. I'm not made for this. Okay. I am a mossy back creature that uh, gets complains when it's wet, gets worried when it's dry, and believes that paradise lies somewhere between Washington and California. But no, you'll find me in warm, semi-tropical waters, fresh water, relaxing. Basically, I'm a northern manatee. Yes, we all do. We try to make you go squish. Yes, that's why I cheat. When in doubt, backstab with a ballista. But I get. Yes, I have to deal with that. And yes, occasionally I get messages from people again who are too shy to put up on the public chat, and I'm totally okay with that. But yeah, we've guys. All joking aside, this is what we do. We find our style and we move on with it. Now, we're gonna. What I am doing is I have torn down my entire list field. All the poles are down. I'm going to be replacing the rope. I have to get out there and take the rather long grass down. But I may be doing that as a segmented video kind of thing. This is definitely a fundraiser to get like the materials to make the list field better so that when I can have people, we have better lighting. I'm looking for options because I don't have outdoor electricity, amongst other things. But other than that, we're gonna keep rolling forward, and we are nearing. And this is where something I started as part of the pandemic. I said I'd be on every Friday. I think there were a couple hundred episodes in the first season. I'd have to go back. Give it a season line where it's season episode 25 right now, the second season of the live stream. Um, Starting next week will be kind of the end of my version of the pandemic. I may have to miss an episode because of my friend Stephanie's wedding is coming up, things like that. And I'm exceptionally happy for her. That's actually who was messaging me right now, asking about the show, but she's working on something where she can't watch. And she was worried about. She heard about the friend and things. You know how it is. So I'm keeping things rolling, and things will change, but there will be more content. The other thing is I have much delayed videos that will be coming out on the Patreon. I'm going to do a complete breakdown of Buckler. It's just been 100 degrees, and I can't safely do it with that much heat. And I require my wife's assistance, so she's got some stuff. So a buckler video will be hitting the Patreon. I am looking for requests, as always, for anything you guys want to see. If you're on Patreon, I usually give it between a week and a month, depending on its necessity, to to move forward, and then it hits the public. Because while I want to thank the Patreon members, I don't want to do it at the expense of everyone else. So they get first dibs and they get special privileges, and hey, we want to see this, and it pretty much happens. Now they also are getting, it's been neglected due to contract work, but insight into the new book I'm writing, which is the Poor Swordmaster's Guide to Arms and Armor, where I'll be talking about how to acquire gear kinda on the cheap, how to make things. I've actually had to revamp a lot because recent lumber prices and other things have dramatically forced me to reevaluate what I'm suggesting. So it's an interesting thing, and they get a secret link where they can actually go and see what my progress looks like. And I can't remember if it's markupable or not. I may just make it markupable so that they can put comments and questions and whatever, just as a way to interact. I want to help that. Now, see, I actually used to love to do archery, and I planned to do archery and thrown weapons, but I have moved to literally the windiest place in America. So I am semi-limited on some of that, and as I recover from my hand issues, we will see. Um, I It's been a mixed blessing because I was severely injured and debilitated during a large part of 2020 into 2021. So no one had to see me like that. And it's a very prideful thing to say, but I like to admit my foibles. I don't like people knowing that I'm weak. I don't like them seeing that. It feels tactically unwise. But yeah. Now, if I get an opportunity, I may just do some of that because I really want to throw stuff. I don't know if I still can. I was testing some rope dart. I did rope dart a long time ago. I started that, and I simply don't currently have the reliable hand dexterity to do it. So even if I know about it, I can't show that and teach it because it wouldn't do you guys any good. So that's on the, well, not back burner, but it's a side burner. Indoor range in the garage. Right now, that is something that could be optional. However, right now my garage is not viable. It is something I want to do. I It is a possibility. I have a dream of turning the garage actually into a mix of a workshop and a proper Soleil with possibly tumble mats. Because I have some people who want to do hand to hand, more aggressive stuff. And even if I can't physically participate, because I have to admit my own fragility, I can facilitate. And my background hand to hand is strange. It is, and it has evolved out of necessity to be something kind of unique. We'll have to see. So we're gonna keep looking at that. And for them, I don't know. I don't know what kind of gear arrangements they have, but I've had people ask. I do love archery, and my longbow is it's a recurve, but it's a very long recurve, and I absolutely adore it. It's about I'm sorry, somebody decided to take their aircraft down the road again. Not even a blink here in the wonderful weird world that I live, but I love it. Was an 80-pound, just boom. I'll have to start back with one of my kitty ultralight bows and just see what my fingers can do. All of this, I'm not complaining because it wasn't Jesse's, and it is a 68 inch. It it wasn't Jesse's. That I got that bow from an under the table purchase from a wonderful fellow that you guys don't know, but John does, named Benny. My role players usually know about a character by the name of Benny, who's a merchant of delightful dubiousness. He's a real person. He had to stop for health reasons, and he was probably one of the best things about the Society for Creative Anachronism. A wonderful, humorous light in a world that took itself entirely too seriously. But I knew him well. I actually bought my sword, or my first fencing sword, from him, and then he called me over by a name that is now not spoken, and he said, "I have something for you." And he brought out this old master's mask, which is a leather-backed old thing, and my first fencing sword, and I purchased it. He said I could give it to you for 120, and I looked at him, and I'm poor cautious. I said, "All I have is $80. I'm sorry." And I started to walk away. I wasn't haggling. And it broke my heart to let that go. And he went, "Nope, nope. Come here. It's yours. Use it well." And I have. Oh, I understand that, guys. Never feel bad, but you can. I'm gonna say this once. Legend of the Christian Basil. I am not Batman. Brucey is a whiny, stuck-up elite prick who could do a whole lot more good for Gotham if he quit his Zorro LARP and put his money to actually helping people, and instead of making fancy inventions and keeping them secret, mass producing them. And while we're at it, I'm looking at you, Tony Stark. Why aren't you making modified neurointerface armor for people who can't walk? That's right. I'll call out superheroes on their stuff. Don't even get me going on Black Panther, Doctor Doom. I have a rant that would get me in trouble. Anyhow, but yes, I only have two modes. I either don't care or yeah, 50-pound. Mine was an 80-pound draw. Is an 80-pound draw continual because it's a recurve, so it's just pull it. I have access. I have a couple compounds that are lighter, and once you get heavy, but they get past that break, it's easier. But I still like that constant pressure. It feels more real to me. But then again, I'm an old Green Arrow guy. We got commentary here. That one's from my dad, and I can't respond right now because I'm live. But I'm going to anyway. Because family is family, folks. And yeah, because that's who I am. Now, yeah, no, I understand that. It's a lot of us have okay, that's funny, Thesis, but a lot of us have limitations. And you know what? There's no shame. This fencing, fighting, archery, these arts, these are martial arts. Now just stop for a moment because that's important. Dare I say, sacred. I am an artist. I draw. I write. I create. I sculpt. I do a lot of things. You do not need to be the best. It doesn't even have to be marketable. If you enjoy it, it has value. And that, just like that applies to drawing. If all you ever do is draw some doodles that kind of make you happy or take your mind off things, congratulations, you have arted. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I try to keep on topic, except when I don't. And usually, if I know going in, I'll put something called OTR, off topic rampancy. But and John's talking about his awesome bow, which, considering he's a giant, it's a giant length, giant draw. I'm a hobbit. The fact I use what I do is insane. But I'll have to tell him you said that. That might, I don't know how he'll feel about that, but that'll be cool. We'll see. Uh the You have to just find what's comfortable for you. I've had some people, when I was starting a fencer, the heavies would call them all wire weenies. And parry this antenna boy. That whole long thing. A foil isn't a real sword. Yada 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 yada. It keeps going. But if you enjoy it, it has value. And anyone demeaning that value with intent is a colossal jerk. Okay? And I try not to swear on my channel. I work hard. Sometimes I slip, but I do try to keep things relatively PG and relatively clean because I want this to be educational and enlightening and entertaining. But yeah, they don't deserve the space. They don't deserve to live rent free in your head. So if all you ever do, I was talking with a person who's mostly paralyzed. They're in a wheelchair. They wanted to learn the motions, and they couldn't. They could only hold, like, basically a pencil the uh, was the extent of the weight they could handle. And I said, "Well, drill with a pencil." And we talked, and I remembered the old antenna boy joke. Parry this, antenna boy. I said, "Okay." They talked to their caregiver assistant, and they went down to Radio Shack, and yes, it's dated. And they pulled a literal telescoping antenna, and it was light enough they could go through the motions. Now, they'll never spar, probably. They may they'll never be able to hold a real sword. The weight of the lightest sword was too much for them. But they drill with the antenna. They drill with that's their little sword. And that is one of the most beautiful, powerful things. Because somebody like John has a certain set of gifts. He is strong, and he is tall, and he is powerful. So he should use strong, tall, large, powerful tools. And aside from some finesse stuff, he doesn't need much help from somebody like me. Love the man, and we talk stuff, and we exchange, and I learn from him, he learns from me. But it's not that kind of process. Somebody like my friend, who is one of those who they don't like getting named. They have their issues, and I understand that. They're drilling every day. Every day, part of their day is even if it's a few shots, is to drill when they can only hold a couple ounces of weight. And I look at myself and I'm like, how dare I have the excuse of being lazy? Now, I won't hold you guys to that kind of standard. That's not who and what I am. But when people say, well, no normal person could hold themselves to that kind of standard, I'm not normal. That's me. I'm the guy who will train till I break. And when I can't, which I haven't been able to, it aches. So if you can, you don't, people talk about, well, I might die tomorrow. And that's kind of an easy out. What if I told you you could get hit by a brick tomorrow and be special needs? or a blood clot that's running through your body right now could shut off part of your brain and you could become paralyzed. It happens like that. Our innate fragility as humans, guys, dictates us to use what we can to the best we can as long as we can. And that is a separate measurement. We don't need to scale against everybody else because they're not walking our journey. We need to build ourselves up to be what we can. And hello, Sword Sage. It's been too long since we've seen you. Everybody here misses you, and those who don't miss you only don't is because they don't know you. I was just talking about the wonderful guiding the sword away video that we did many years ago, and he is stone cold, absolutely right. Every couple days, every 5 minutes a day, every other day, whatever you can do. And that's why, like, if they can drill with that, I drill with my cane. I have my my ultralight cane. It's a carbon fiber cane. I'll drill with that. I tie it to my hand because my fingers, for a while there, stopped. I drilled with a straight shaft in case they didn't work. Tied. John sent me a bollock stagger, and see, happy to see the butt worked. You can do it. Don't try to be the best. Don't try to be a master. Don't get caught up in that game. Try to learn what works for you, understand why. And it's not even be better at, just be it. If you are training right, you're working hard to relax into what you are. I was talking about at some point, Sword Sage, I want to do something that might just draw you back temporarily. I have dastardly plans potentially in the works. And I have missed the heck out of you, sir. I've missed the heck out of your son. I follow things, and he's gotten so big. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm also so happy to see your world has gotten the way it has from what I've been tracking. You're a great guy, and you need to do more stuff. We need to do a live stream together one of these days and just talk stuff. Maybe pick something ridiculous like the Disney Mulan. I haven't seen it yet. I'm thinking I should watch that and comment on it to see what with somebody. And yes, there is always randomness. Randomness happens. Sorry, Kitty. I was chatting and I lost your sense. All right, Thesis, on that topic, what is everyone's favorite music to play while drilling? Like you said, I'm a dancer, so I need music to drill. I love dancers. Dancers are some of my favorite fighters. It depends what you are attempting. John's like, music I like is classical and also hard rock. Classical for footwork, rock for quick drilling. First off, it has to appeal to you. The music must radiate. John's talking, footwork. I like something with a very fixed feel. Ironically, and you can laugh because I'm about to be an incredibly uh, goofy Caucasian male here and say the girl from Ipanema has a rhythm ba 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 da 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 because it gets me just fast enough that I'm constantly going, but not so fast that I break down. Now I can wrap that up. The dangerous thing to do is play music while sparring, as Trelena and I demonstrated with what is now known in the historical fencing guild circles as the cursed song, or that which must not be played. Not because it's not good, it's freaking awesome. The problem is both Trelane and I are kind of possessed when it plays, and we go in time. Because people always ask, The song is from the 2-mix soundtrack dedicated to an anime OVA called Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. And the song is a little something called White Reflection. Also following that is Burning. The two songs cycle, and then they cycle into the acoustic, not acoustic, more instrumental karaoke version, and then the little tiny CD would start over. That is not a slow song. That is a very fast, very ba, 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 ba. And if you have two experienced fencers who are in good shape, you're hearing ting 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 block clicks. Not good to do in a place where you're only supposed to be doing slight slow work and demonstrations. Anyhow, but when you're doing something like slow drill, I love. Oh my gosh, my girl on my wall. I actually have the limited edition figure of the Lo-Fi Girl sitting on her little desk. I get so much done based to that continual stream. You know, lo-fi, chill music, old school trance, old school electronica is great for that. Yes, as a bit of experience, Tai Chi to Avenged Sevenfold is it is possible to rage Zen. You have to be the trick with when you're looking for mindfulness and all that. Part of it is accepting how you feel, and instead of fighting it, just letting the emotion come, tell you what it needs to tell, and go. And something like that is great. I'm in, I'm an old blues guy, and a lot of my music is a place where folk, blues, rock, old country, and before people say oh country, I'm talking Johnny Cash. You can't say he's not country because he's Johnny freaking Cash, and you can't say he's not good because he's Johnny freaking Cash. And his cover of Nine Inch Nails' "Hurt" is still one of the most powerful, haunting, and messed up. Like, it's a Journey song. Anyhow, that's 3 a.m. music, and sometimes I need to spar through it. Now, slow music is great when you're drilling because drill slow to learn fast. Unless you're doing a deliberate speed drill where you're like target, 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 pop, 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 pop. It's literally the fencing equivalent of the speed bag where you want that motion going and to build your kineticness, and you've loosened up your ligaments and you just want to keep the blur going so you're blurred and controlled to test your calibration. You really want something slow. A whole lot of my music and fencing and training used to come with there was a late night classical station, and then for a brief time in Northwest Indiana and Northeast Illinois, there was a band out of Chicago, not a band, a channel that was WNUA 95.5. Smooth Jazz, WNUA 95.5. And that, my friends, was home. Just chill, smooth, urban, late night. The kind of music you listen when you're driving up and down Lakeshore Drive for no other reason than to see the lights on the water. That's smooth. That's anything that brings up the name Ramsey Lewis. Folks like Miles Davis. So what, man? Ooh, my kind of blues. Oh, BB King. Oh God, I can't remember Isaiah. I can't remember the name of that guy. I lost his name. It just fell off my mind. I hate it because he boom, boom, boom. Gonna shoot you right down. Yeah. And I have to be careful to keep those little snippets so I don't get booted. But that's great music. Okay. Who have you met? John. Let's see. On this list, yeah, you've met John. You've met Richie. I let me see who's playing today to double check. I know you don't know Cindy or Bladed Thesis, although you might know him from he. It wouldn't surprise me if he hasn't followed your channel for a long time. If not, he should. Kitty and Foxy are both associated with him. Yeah, you Christian Basil. I haven't even met in person, just a lot online. And Joe Bachman, you probably know, but that was sort of yeah, you know Joe. It's just been a while. He didn't fight a lot back then. Uh, oh yeah, Asian theme music. Like I said, chill music. Find what grooves you. Okay, I'm going to tell you. I can get philosophical a little bit. I don't usually, but I will. We have Sword Say John, and I don't need to tell him how to swing a sword. But we do have these philosophical conversations, and people who know me know I use. Oh, I nothing wrong with that. Also, Clavitus de Profondi. I'm saying it wrong, but they do dwarven music essentially. Okay. Yes. Oh, awesome. Totally worthwhile. Uh, I use the term groovy, and people associate it with the round glasses, not knowing the ramifications and background around the round glasses. But I say groovy because I have found in life there are rhythms. Just like in a fight, just like in anything, there's a rhythm, a pulse, a set RPM. And when you are in the right rhythm, you find everything works. For example, there's a road north part of Indiana called Route 6. That goes through some shady parts of Gary, but the parts I know, in what we affectionately call the region, uh, if you got on the road at a certain intersection and you put your speedometer at 34 miles an hour, you could go across 3 counties and never hit a red light. A couple places in a couple of the cities I know where if you stop at a light and you leave it and you can get to a specific speed, the rhythm opens up. Have you ever had a day where you get, and it's just like you pull into the store and the parking space you want just opens up. People aren't getting out of your way. They just happen to not be in your way when you want to be somewhere. That is what I call the rhythm. And that's the groove. You get in the groove and you feel it, and you can become untouchable. It's the only way I can. You are where the universe wants you to be, where you need to be, and you're doing what you're doing. It's magical isn't quite the right term. Enlightening isn't the right term. I got to look at it sideways to get the right feel, but it's profound. And that is something I feel you seek. Because whenever I start having problems, it's I'm going too fast and I'm out of the rhythm. Uh, so that's what you do. That's why you'll train slow. It lets you understand the beats of your rhythm. And when you're fighting, especially if you're sparring with the right person, you can find a rhythm that the fight becomes something more. It's not a dance and it's not a fight. It's just this is when you get to know somebody. It's really weird and deep and philosophical, and I completely dig it. Uh, and if you fight with somebody like that enough, like Trelane and I have for years, I can put my back to Trelena's back and fight against other people. I know what she's doing. She knows what I'm doing. At least we could. It's been a long time. Might take us a while to sync up. Might be like nothing happened. That's a cool thing. Sword Sage and Thesis are chatting about Elchen swords, which are very awesome, and the Flying Phoenix and Soaring Sky are gorgeous from your reviews. Sword Sage did something though. Give me just a second. Whoo, this chair's getting a little annoying. He introduced me to something called the Nagamaki. The Nagamaki that he introduced me to. Yes, John, you and Terry do that a lot in Melee. You do. Here we go. Yeah, see, if you take a katana and you give it a clip point and a little bit of a false edge, first off, full length katana, then just stretch the hilt to almost or right about half the length. Good Lord. You want to talk a weapon that feels so right to me. He handed me this. He's like, "What do you think?" Because I'm not normally a katana guy. Not saying I can't use them, not saying I don't have a history of making them go. One I might want to revisit. But this dang thing, chef's kiss. It was beautiful. And I was getting together to get one from him. And it all fell apart. And totally justified. I got no beef against Sage on that one. His world went through enough without that mention. But it was, oh God. It's like when you find a restaurant that you didn't know. You have it. You find out it's the best restaurant ever. Whatever the food is, it's just, why was this in my life? And next week, the restaurant closes down. There aren't many two-handed weapons I really lean into hard. That's not usually my style. I love me my boar spear. Short boar spear and I are good friends, and I loves it. Staff, Joe staff length are things I like. But danged if that thing wasn't just, oh, you're right, Nick cocaine. Ah. So I will forever love and hate you for introducing me to that particular weapon, Mr. Sword Sage. And I'm trying not to use your real life name. I always have to stutter. Oh, please. Wait. Okay, I was about to say. Cindy kept just near. Wow. Y'all have to. I'm going to give y'all warnings. There are people in my universe that you don't mess with, and Cindy Kep is one of them. She is a radiant light in this universe, and she's one of the best people I know. Her and a fellow by the name of Brian K. Morris of Risingtide.pub. Hey, that's the same name as the broadcast network I'm involved on. I wonder if they're associated. Anyway, Cindy kept said RE music beats and fighting, which is a great way to thank you for tagging a callback. I wrote a tale in which the main character timed his movements in a fight to specific songs. The first anthology I submitted it to rejected it because it would never work. It was accepted by another one. Cindy, I had the exceptional honor of helping advise a little bit on some discussion for her fight choreography. She has the most clinical, organized mind I think I may have ever encountered. It is brilliant the way she plans and writes things. And I, as an author, am a complete pantser. I usually don't know where I'm going till I get there, unless it's nonfiction, and then I kind of flow out. But oh, Sword Sage says, by the way, Nick, if you ever decide to get an Elchen sword, I think either the Flying Phoenix, the Scarlet Sunset, or the White Arc are up your alley. I was thinking the same thing, having seen those. And further, I have a dastardly plot. I thank you for reminding. I have to contact my boys at Purple Heart Armory about once I get a couple checks deposited. The first is just good bounce blade. I think your style. Second is very rapier-like, can decide though not a balance. The white arc is really long for a one-hander. This is an odd question, but do they make Dow? Because ironically, for a a light fencer as much as I am, I do have a secret and abiding love of Dow. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that because there's a part of me that has the scimitar falchion Dow family of smooth cuts that makes things very happy. It's weird. I have things I like to do and things I don't like to do unless I'm really into it. It's strange, but I'm gonna have to look into that, and I might. I have to put together a Purple Heart Armory order in the near future because I feel bad that I'm not going to be able to order their fencing jacket, but I can't handle with my shoulders and limited grip stuff a pullover hoodie after fighting. I lose too much. It takes too much out of me. I'll have to look at it. You know, guys, you guys are all on the Historical Fencing Guild public links. If you throw some links, ooh, a new way down. Ooh. See, I'm going to say something a bit of a hot take. A lot of katana to me feel like improperly balanced Dao. I know that's shade. That's some pretty brutal shade to just drop on the table. But I I firmly believe, as much as I love that style of weapon, that if the universe needs me to have it, one will appear. And I just kind of cast that on the water and let that fly. It's like I'm still trying to track down the ultimate trainer for this dude because I need a brace of these. And yes, I said a brace, two. Nick, you dual wielding is dangerous and yada yada. And yes, um, and I also realized something. It's funny. I talked to Sword Sage is of course. I balance a katana to be well. It depends. Like I said, it depends on the katana. And the problem is, some swords there's a fairly narrow margin of quality. And the problem is with so many makers making so many katana that can look so similar. Uh, I will take Sword Sage's opinion because I respect him as a martial artist, as a swordsman, and as a friend. But like, I'm not comfortable ordering a lifesteal katana online without getting my furry little hobbit mitts on it. Plus, the length I realize is kind of interesting for a commentary. Oops, let me see. I had a stuff slide, so bear with me. Is that okay? My screen's worth. Is that yeah? No, that's that. Historically, katana are fun because that's my small sword that broke. I have to fix my small sword. Sorry, guys. One more second. I need this. I need. Well, I'll leave the small sword. This, my friends, is a wakizashi trainer with a saya. The string, the sash string kind of dude. There's a name. I'm not going to use it because right now my enunciation is terrible, and I'd rather say I'm not using the wrong word, but but why do I like this? Well, I like this because my arms are so short that for a draw, a Nagamaki length blade, or not Nagamaki, well, actually, it's Nagamaki length blade, but Wakizashi length blade is appropriate. It is comfortable. I have very limited reach. If you took this and you doubled the hilt area, you would have something like a Nagamaki. That's also known as crack cocaine because that is basically a curved Joe staff made of hate. Now, and I believe it's a Korean style sword that they made that does not have a discard. Traditionally is very close. I am going to go on PHA and show you what I'm talking about. That's not, and I have to use my backup technology here because boom, 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 boom. I think that's what. Aha. It's called and I am going to mispronounce this. The people who come back in the chat and realize I have said this wrong, you are not adversely affecting anything. I realize that as someone with a speech impediment who can barely speak English most days, I understand that. But it's called a Dob Song Mui trainer for Krabong. And I think it's out of stock. But I want to show you guys this bad boy. Marco does that or does not. No, not you. Anyhow, Sword Sage. I'm not talking anyhow. Not look very much like a Nagamaki. Get my Magnum eyebrows going on that one. This will be something I order probably modified. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get it modified, and we'll see if they will. But because I realize something. As much as I love live steel swords, and I have a moderate collection, I prefer trainers because I can use them as a rule. Now, once I have a trainer, I can then use a lot. But speaking of similar designs, I think I have my lawn sword. This is a discontinued variant by Cold Steel. This was bizarrely called the Tactical Katana Machete. This obviously is not a katana rig by anyone's front, but this, it's like, oh, it's ugly and beat up. This is my lawn sword. This is also about as close to a Nagamaki as I find. Yes, a Kokatana would be very nice. It's a little girthy in the grip for me, but I do like the inlaid curve. If it were a little narrower, it would be perfect. But this is a delightful Nick-sized, almost greatsword rig. And I've used this to great effect agriculturally, cutting through brambles, briars, small shrubs to do trailblazing, as well as this was for many years my chief door greeter. As in something goes, boy, because this is a longsword that's short enough that I can both comfortably draw it, as I demonstrated, and I can use it roughly effectively indoors. Let's see. Now, Kitty, please join the Facebook public group or apply. I will obviously approve you. And yes, I approve people. That is not a gatekeeping measure in any way, shape, or form. I do that because, well, only people can speak English, because there is an Arabic band of some sort, like a music group, that uses the acronym HFG, and there has been confusion in the past. And I don't allow bots or obvious bots to join that group, because you don't need I'm going to sell Amway to you every 30 seconds or ask you about your car's new warranty. Yes, Kokatana. Yes, I absolutely love a kokatana is in that bailiwick of things that are comfortable for me. A kokatana, as he said, is a wakizashi, which is basically what I had, with a full katana length hilt. A nagamaki is a wakizashi with a double length hilt. And why do I like that? Leverage. Now, as soon as I do this, Richie's laughing at me because he's like, wait a second, Meyer circles and circles and circles. Yeah, kinda. But I would never pick from different styles to make a really great improvised style. That's totally not what I'm all about. Oh, wait, it is. We've got a lot to do. And so that's something. Oh, no, what? Why? Why what? Okay. I apologize if my questions annoy people. But no. I am literally here. Do you know why I keep the chat open? So I can answer questions. Yes. Yeah. Basically, a, a nagamaki is an indoor pole arm. Yeah. That's a very good way to look at it. Or so yeah, but Kitty, please elaborate. You say why, and your questions do not annoy or bother. I'm literally here to help people. My favorite thing in the world is helping relatively new people get better, get gear, be safe. You can scroll through the videos. This material will be repeated throughout the course. But it flows. And if I'm not doing the very thrusty style, even my thrusty styles I tend to incorporate my disengages into attacks. So even my thrusty styles are very rarely the sewing machine that you get from like a classical foilist. Well, let me explain. The reason I favor them gets down to body mechanics, and it's hard to do sitting down. But for me, and I talk about this in my book, I talk about it. A short sword, and when I'm using a concussive sword, I like them shorter, and I'll explain why. Is best the blade is about as long as my arm to my outstretched two fingers. So you see my two fingers here? Now I can do this demo with this very safely. This is a very comfortable mechanical draw length on the blade. I can easily pull that up and I can make that go. This is a very fluid draw for me. And I bought this especially because it came with the saya. I wish it were sturdier because I do like my Batu techniques. But, and see, John's getting there. With the longer, because I have physical weakness, okay? I'm not as strong as many men. And that was before my disability and issues. So leverage is my friend. By doubling this, instead of gripping here, I am now gripping something very similar. Oh, see, I don't carry one of those as a deceptive in a short sheath. I carry it so I can draw it anywhere, and my low line with a longer sword, a low line parry, woo, woo, thus nearly killing my headphones, can dig into the ground and be interrupted. A high line, whoops, parry can hit the ceiling. But with something scaled like this, in a figure my stance is wide, I'm only 5'7", 5'8". I am at the line of being short for a male in America. I accept that. That's fine. But that means to draw, I can only comfortably draw about this much blade in a relatively tight area. I always train as though let's talk about that. Why do I gear the way I do? A lot of people say a longsword's better, you have all that area control, etc. And I don't, because I train for where I'm traditionally fighting. And up until recently, I use in confined spaces, woods, confined spaces, indoors, urban settings, you know, so I can draw that and use that. When I take a wide, low stance, it doesn't tangle. And yeah, as I say just about every episode, and John loves to bring up, I can't swing a broadsword when you're in the forest. And like I said, I don't have to fight the weight. The other thing about swords you have to remember, I'm going to grab this because, well, let's see. I want one that will fit but is straighter. What do I have that will work for that? Alrighty. I helped design this sword. This was manufactured by Purple Heart Armory. It's the Italian side sword trainer. I literally put in to make the modifications to have this be a thing. A blade is broken up by many different pieces depending on the system. The simplest is the you have the forte and the foible. And yes, Sage, I know, enunciation. I may have been taught it wrong, but I was taught it for, God, 30 years. I'm not fixing that speech impediment. If it annoys, feel free to be annoyed. Ha ha! I missed you, buddy. Forte meaning strong, foible meaning weak. A sword is leverage. Now, a lot of people tell people, especially who are smaller, well, you just need a longer sword for reach. The problem is, if you were fighting with a long sword, there is more leverage at the tip for it to be parried out of the way, and you have to fight harder. So I pick weapons that are like this. It's comfortable for me. And again, look at this blade length. Do you see this? This is a frequent blade length. It, this is why I fight with shorter weapons. Ideally, a short sword for me, the short end of a sword that delineates in my mind from what's a sword to short sword and what gets into long dagger fighting knife. Well, let's compare two simple things. Let me get over here, see if I can reach it. And I might be able to. Well, my gin is over there, so that's not coming out. This is my 30-inch rapier. Oh, it's all beat up, you say. That's because I used the heck out of it. This literally is within an inch of being the perfect length for me for a rapier. It goes from my center line outstretched. It's about 1 inch short. I like that for safety. This fits me. It never drags on a low line parry. I can draw it from a sheath. The grip is tiny to most people, and John would go nuts. But if you look at how it fits my hand perfectly, this is scaled to my hobbit self. So one of my favorite fighting styles is actually, here we go. Whoop. Sword and dagger. This is a 17.5-inch blade. I am very comfortable here. You'll notice that my natural stance, even though it's slightly adjusted for the TV, is a nice A-frame. As you can see, I'm very protected. And my middle road is not terribly open, in part because I have the ease of the dagger to further shut down and block my middle road. This is good. This is cake and ice cream. I don't like to go much shorter for something I consider a dagger than 12 inches. Which point it starts to be a long knife, and long knives fight differently. Let me see. I love answering questions because I get to dig out my props. Here we go. we'll grab two. This is the bread and butter. If you're fencing and you're learning as an offhand, if you can buy one of these, it would start out black. I painted it for visibility. The paint has worn off from flex and use. This is a cold steel parry dagger. I adore these things. Now, this is about 12-inch blade. Nice. See, I have very much the George Silver windshield wiper offhand. If I want cover high, high. Cover low, low. Want to thrust, thrust. This is beautiful. Fighting with two of these is fun. I have another one that's rigged as a main gouge. Great weapons. This is still a sword style operation. This is a knife. Now, it is very rare for me to like a large knife without it becoming a dagger. Knife-wise, I usually run something like this because it's a tool primarily. First, second, and third. Situations like that. A friend of mine used to use a 50. Yes, and you have to so you don't get the high line. But if you parry early on that 50, you can get it offline unless they have the strength of somebody like John. But for a knife, this is the FE9. It was designed by Cricket, CRKT, Columbia River Knife and Tool. This knife is out of production tragically. The real knife that this is based on, there aren't a lot of these trainers floating around, but they're very good. This is a very aggressive design, but it is a very orthopedic grip. So people with this is a fencer's knife, and I adore this. I love this knife so much. One of my favorite characters I ever designed's personal dagger, when it's a dagger, that's complicated, is literally based on this knife design. It is one of my favorite large knives, and someday I will find a way to own one of these. It is a beautiful, locked in. It gives you a very ridiculously positive grip, and the edge alignment lines up very nicely with your forearm, so every bit of the force on a thrust goes where it needs to go. But it's rigged loose enough that a keyhole style grip still gives you the angles for the cuts. This is a dreamboat of a knife. It's just way too expensive for me to carry. So I love this. Look for a good trainer. Always buy a trainer of what you fight with. Now, if you want something more traditional, this is a cold steel, I believe it's a Bowie. But this is a very similar large knife, very straight guard, still incredibly positive grip because it's got this flaring, and the gimping is just great. It locks in. You can fight this knife like this. You can even get a keyhole grip here, and it's a very traditional knife. Now, I don't like to put my hand on the other side of the guard because the guard is there for a reason. But something like this is going to let you flow. It's going to let you cut. It's going to let you go. But as you can see, as soon as I take something that feels like either of these, it's a lot more slice and go. So Kitty especially will find these neat because this is the dagger side of a Espada dagger. The Espada side actually works really well with an oh boy sting. You need a short, slashing, often straight weapon. This guy goes for days, and I quite like the design. Go ahead, laugh at my Hobbit self. Again, we're running. This is only about an 18, 20-inch blade, something like that. But it flows, it fits. I could obviously draw it, so I like it. This is a good smell. The other truly hilarious thing about this rigging in my hand is it's literally a hand and a half sword. Oh, John. Reverse grip on this Bowie is a dreamboat. This is a wonderful, John, you would love this. And this is by Cold Steel. I want to say it's a Bowie. I can't remember. I have delayed sitting down and doing just a crap ton of weapon reviews, and I really need to. I like double. there's a trade-off, because when you're actually allowed to grab and spar, do things real world, your offhand works really well. Now, let me see. Do I have these two are buddies? These two are friends and they like each other. In this configuration, this is a door opener. Get that shield down. I need to pop you. What? No, I need to poke you. What? No, get that sword and move it over here. I need to poke you. Sword, you don't need that hand. Close in, wrap to the back of the head. These flow well and they make sense to carry. Make sense to carry. Let's talk about something, because I'm having a really great show and we're running late and I don't think anybody minds. I need this tonight. I get in a lot of flack because a lot of people are very much about long swords, two-handed swords. It's like phallic, and that's all well and good, and I have no problem with that, obviously, even though I love my beloved Nagamaki. But when we talk about what swords work, what don't, part of it is the evolution of, is there armor? As soon as armor goes away, from the very beginning of metal swords, you see this leaf blade design. This weapon is found throughout the ancient world as a very popular design with slight tweaks. Okay, this is in the family of a gladius. This is in the family of several other Roman weapons. This is the family of several Greek weapons that I feel my speech impediment just twisting. So I'm not going to drop names. But the short thrusting, cutting, this length fits both the size of people in that period and the fighting style. It's great for march stab. It's great for work, and you can cut with it. This is a popular weapon. What is the most popular sword in the world? You're going to have an answer, and the obvious answer is actually wrong. The most popular sword that most people think of a sword is the katana. These are all over the place. Why? It's a neat design. It's a very popular design. It works well, and it ships easily. But people, if you look, broaden your definition of sword just a little bit, look at what's actually carried and what actually modern tracks the role of a sword, and you find the humble machete. Well, it's just a long knife. Yes, it is. And the machete, especially with minor variants, is found everywhere. They are common, they are effective, they are used in warfare today in most third world nations, and it is just a great basic, it's just a good tool. They flow well, they work as tools. What else do you find all over the place? Hatchets, axes, usually small, hawk-like hatchets. Special forces to this day. Is it reachable? Yep. Carry hatchets. There goes the hilt. Like this. This is a SOG fast talk. This is one of my favorite weapons. This was given to me by Steve Clausen. These are used in combat by special forces this moment. Right now, deployed. These are out effing people up. Why? Well, why are these popular? Well, the practicality of multi-use. This is a axe. This can cut wood. This can be a means of entering buildings. I lost the word for it. They're all over the place. It's a great tool. An axe can be as light as one of these little guys. Let me see the one that's got dirt on it. Get this one. This was my neck axe for a long time, and that I wore this in a sheath on a lanyard around my neck when I'd go out in the woods because it could do most of the stuff with a knife. I didn't have a neck knife at the time, and do light axery. I could process wood with this, and it weighs very little. This is a nice tool. Could I put the kabonk on somebody with this? It's close range, but absolutely. They're still in use. There's one other weapon still in use everybody forgets about. And no, I'm not saying the Spetsnaz shovel. Although that was hilarious, whoever was just thinking that at me. The spear. Wait a second. So historically, the spear was the main weapon. The sword was the sidearm. Swords equal pistols. Process that, adapt it, understand it. I love swords. I am a swordsman. I teach swords. However, I understand that in a period battle, your primary weapon was either a longbow, because I want to kill somebody way over there. I like to stab people from way over here. Foomp. Or our boy, the spear, going all the way back. The spear is the papa weapon. I love the stick. I love the staff. But as soon as you put a spearhead on it, you have a something. And we've been defending ourselves with spears for as long as we've had a Wii. Now you're like, whoa, you know what? A bayonet. When you take, oh, my gun has stopped gunning, or they're too close, or they're too many. One of the most terrifying phrases that can be said is fix bayonets. I put a knife on the end of my gun. Charge. This still has broken lines as late as what, 2019? I think it's 2019, the British used an actual fixed bayonet charge in Afghanistan and messed some dudes up. They exist for a reason. The ATF is scared of them for a reason. Bayonets are serious problem-solving business because they're spears. And it's funny, Sword Sage just dropped in with the whole, he made some comments, basic pretty much close range barehanding, then you take your hand skills and transfer them to dual short weapons. Absolutely! Pop, 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 pop. I am a very loose-handed guy, largely because I let certain striking skills fall back and favor into something called CPI, crisis prevention and intervention, because I worked with behavioral special needs, class 5 schizophrenics, people who would, because of the nature of their mental defect, attempt to do you deadly harm, who you had to stop from doing you deadly harm without doing harm to them or anyone else. So it's a very, oddly enough, Tai Chi feeds it into it. Redirection is key. And because that is a part of my life to this day, I don't focus a lot on hard striking styles. So short knife work flows really well into, I like one-handed grab, transfer, go. Pointy sticks are just so human. Absolutely. And so, of course, you besides me did the sword pistol equation. I've been doing that for years, Sage. We are old friends, and we think alike. Yes, the Chinese spear is considered the king of weapons. My favorite spear technique is actually for Wing Chun long pole. It when you realize it is just the Incredible Hulk of rapiers. The world. What? It's not a spear. No. It's a rapier on steroids. Poke, disengage, little bit of cutty action, a whole lot of mess them up. Oh yeah. Things that make me happy. Yeah, well, it's funny because you wouldn't think Wing Chun with all that stuff, but the story And it's one of those, if it isn't true, it should be. Where a Wing Chun master was at a bar with a barge poleman. And the guy, okay, let me explain. There's a river in China. I can't remember which one. Doesn't really matter. This is one of those stories. They would float downriver, easy navigating, pick up goods, and then the bargeman would use 15, 20-foot long rat tail poles, so they'd be about that wide on one end, about this wide on the other, to push the barge all the way back up. Now, a lot of times they needed to walk back down to the town to get on the next barge to push back up. So what happened is roadside bandits, which has always been a pain in the butt, realized if you see something, because they got to bring their own stick, you see somebody absolutely walking down the trail with one of these sticks, rob them because they have money. Well, they got tired of it. And, this guy got tired of getting robbed and having to deal with it because, so he's at a bar with a Wing Chun master and they got sauced. And I don't mean like a little bit of booze. I mean like drunken master grade schnockered. And the Wing Chun guy, in that bit of quasi-chemically induced clarity, went, well, let's make you a style. So they hammered out the means of using what the guy had, which is a gigantic, enormous stick, as a spear, essentially. Made it real simple, because, and it became a thing. And the guy taught other polemen this. Hey, when they pull a sword on you, just step back and make this go pop, 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 pop. And it's gorgeous. I admire simple, practical, elegant. Now, I will look at the beauty of some of the practitioners we watch. And if you look at the Historical Fencing Guild, I occasionally share some truly exquisite practitioners of different sword spear styles. Some are Western, some are Eastern, some are Northern, some are wherever. I live for that. But I myself am a short, fat, kind of grounded, furry little man. So when it comes to how I approach fighting and how I teach a lot of the people who oftentimes are an army of the small or aren't, I teach a very concise system. It's simple. If you want to learn and you have the physicality to pursue extreme elegance, that's fine. I approve. I applaud. Go far beyond what I do. It's sort of like some people are mad at that one gymnast because she can do a triple flip no one else in the world can do. They're like, well, you can't do that in competition. Well, that just... If you have extreme ability, do it. And if it can't be duplicated, well, good for you. Sometimes things can't. We're not all the same. I'll keep building the base. That's my job. When you want to make a group of people better at something, there are two ways. You can seek the top and really push the boundaries and try to be the best of the best and inspire. It's kind of a vacuum motion. The truly great among us ascend like rockets. We get pulled up and inspired to get better. And those are what we call heroes. And then there are people who take everybody on the bottom and go, here, this is what I know. All I want to do is get the bottom level from 0 to 1, maybe 2, as a baseline. Those are called teachers. And that's what I am. Now, sometimes I've had people who are trying to, they're in that mid zone where they're trying to reach the top. And they don't like what I do, because it affects their perception of their superiority. That they feel bad because the people. Okay, and now I have that song firmly rooted in my head, Cindy. Thank you. They're doing it to look better than the peons. It's not about being better than themselves, because guys, that's the only competition that matters, is being better than yourself. I want to be a better human being than I was yesterday. I want to be a more skillful swordsman, or a better artist, or a more prolific, better writer. I want to push out there to inspire and provide for my son. That's what I do. I'm not looking to beat anybody else because they're playing their game. This isn't a ranked tournament. People try to turn everything into a ranked tournament. Not everything needs to be. But they get mad at me because I should be able to beat those people easier. To which I'm like, get good, scrub. Well, I could beat you? Yeah, and it took you 45 minutes to beat a guy who walks with a cane, is a foot shorter than you, and carrying two swords and held together by elastic. Get good. As a gesture from my youth. Now, because the guys who really are good, I'm going to tell you something. When you meet somebody who is truly superior, and I've met some, I've met the kind of brilliant minds that stagger my ability to try to comprehend that they comprehend stuff. I've met athletes of what by any other standard are inhuman. They stride like giants among us. And the people who really have that true greatness, have no need to look down on anybody. They have no need to feel like they need to oppress anybody. One, they're too busy doing their own stuff. And two, they want to see everyone else succeed. And it's funny because I'm a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. How the heck do you get to that? That's a bunch of authors taking that approach. There are a lot of people in this world who want you to do well as long as you don't do better than them. I will tell you this, every single student I have, everybody I've worked with, everybody I've trained with, pretty much everybody in this list who's met me can attest. And those who haven't are getting the idea. My first goal is for you to be safe. Not have fun, that's the second goal, but safe. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others needlessly. The second goal is have fun. I want you to enjoy what you're doing. Because if it's not enjoyable, why are you doing it? Sometimes that's part of being safe. It's self-defense, and that's fine too. But the third is beat me. I am not the big BEG. I'm not the big bad evil guy. I am not the top of the tournament looking down. Come get me. Nah, I'm not even a mid-boss usually. But when you beat me, and I mean really are able to hold a fight and win, sparring at the game I teach, or your variant and your variant, you respect what it took me to be, and you learn to respect what it took to beat me. So that is my first goal. Oh, Sword Sage, your problem. I have no problem saying you're absolutely likely right. He says you can tell Wing Chun pole didn't originate in the style because of how they hold the pole. Yeah, no, I will give you that. Part of it probably comes from the techniques used to push the ball. They were probably using, if you look at the mechanics of it, they were using the similar muscle groups. And yeah, she makes a wonderful point. Wing Chun is a Southern Chinese style. Southern styles use both ends of the staff. Northern styles use only one end. Very, very true. However, I think part of it is the weapon's nature. Because remember, this is a heavily rat-tailed weapon. So the balance factor at that length does make using both ends, and there are certain blocks you can incorporate at close range, but both ends difficult. It's just unwieldy for a balanced weapon approach. So I can see how you get there. That's interesting. But like I said, I can also see, having been around, and I think you can attest, when you get a good group of martial artists together and somebody goes, I have a problem, especially if intoxicants are involved, whereas I do not partake, I have observed. Things happen, folks. Amazing things happen. Because the groups I associate with are a delight. The Historical Fencing Guild, largely, especially the ones in person, are a delightful blend of blessed lunatics, each brilliant in their own strange way. And that's what happens. You cross wires, and I love it. And yeah, like I said, you're totally right. Sword Sage, if you want to take Kitty's question, because she's saying, how do you tell the difference between northern and sort of, well, a lot of northern. Oh, that's it. Yeah. So, and having, it's interesting because the cold steel training staff is an octagonal tapered staff, and the Joe staff, the Night Watchman staves, are cylindrical and evenly balanced. And when you fight them, it makes a lot more sense with the tapered staff to get that whip as much as. Screw you, buddy. What did I miss? I don't even know where that came from, Steve. So because Steve's here, I'm going to bring this up on screen. I love you, Steve. This is the Hello Karambit. I made this because I needed a soft Karambit trainer for one of Steve's conversations, and it is one of the most delightful things. So I keep this in existence. I have been offered fairly vast sums of money to facilitate or allow its destruction, and I won't. I love this little thing. So here you go. I don't know what I did, but I'm gonna put that there to double down and make it worse. Now, and see, that's what I love. Uh, Sage's background is very Eastern. Mine is very Western. We get these conversations where it's like, okay, that works like that. Why? And I like, okay, let's put it this way. This video is now at 2 minutes and 42 seconds. I normally, I 2 hours and 42 seconds. For 2 hours and 42 minutes, I can talk. I am out of caffeine. But love you too. Steve, my heart will go on. But one thing I said, General guidelines tend to be more militaristic and southern. I agree, and I agree with pretty much everything I've observed matches what you're saying, and I enjoy it so much. Um, because that's when I go to Chinese. What? Just bear with me. When I go to Chinese, I've got myself some Szechuan, Szechuan, and some Mandarin, and some Cantonese. And the food speaks three very different regional languages. The Cantonese tends to be a little smokier, a little beefier. The Mandarin is very sweet. And the Szechuan, speech impediment time, bing, is a lot spicier. It's a lot harder, a little more flavorful, like throat punchy. The martial arts tend to be that way too. There are different feelings. And see, what you're seeing also here, I want to. Right. But, oh, God, I don't have any more Hello Kitty tape, but arrangements may be made someday. I'll keep an eye out. Strange things might happen. But, um, Plus, if I ever let him destroy it, it would stop being fun, and very little is worth the amount of fun we both get out of that. When I get on here, you're going to see something different than a lot of people who get on YouTube talking about martial arts or in general. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I can even be wrong, mistaken, in error. I am not faultless. So, oh, hi, Dark Sun. Thoughts on Kabutawari? I am not familiar with that term. It sounds real familiar. It's rattling. But yeah, go ahead, have fun with it. Let me look at, because that's how I have a couple books. They're big books of martial arts, and I look through them just to. Oh, I've missed some messages because I had my announcements turned down. And they're audio. Okay, Sage, I will listen to the audio when I'm not doing this because I don't want to broadcast whatever that is without knowing what it is. And oh, really? Really, Steve? Okay. Now that we've all gone down that road, and I'm not no. What? Oh, let me look at it. Because I have to look at the. Oh! Okay. I knew I'd seen that word. I actually think those things are fascinating because this is a parry dagger. This, and it has offset tines. But a Kabutawari is basically, if this were straight, it's shaped ironically like a giant can opener. And Bud K's been making a no. Feel free. I can analyze that in just a second and go, I like that, given where it's from and what it is. That is a great parry dagger against a katana. But it's dickish, which is why I love it. Why am I saying that? Okay, let's see. And I have size, which would be better, but they're way over there, and I'm not getting up to get them. I've been in my chair too long. So I need my Wakizashi. And Steve sent me 2 Tanto trainers, which I absolutely adore. And I will be playing a little Tanto and Wakizashi at some point, but that's neither here nor there. Now, 1 second. I have a bit odd habit of respecting this weapon a little different. It's just old training. Now, you have the Kabutawari-ish. And I do love ish trainers. It looks like what you're seeing on orange, except this is a straight blade. And this would curve in a little bit. Let me show you the picture. Boop. This guy. Can you gut somebody with it? Yeah, sure. Knife goes cut. It has that inward cut, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, the edge is on the inside. So that's going to give you that Jintan, a very aggressive chop. But that hook, because as you pair, sword comes in, remembering that katanas were very cutting styles. Yeah, can opener. It you guys saw something, yes, similar. It catches and then it slips. That, with given the brittleness of some periods katana, and I'd have to look at the time. I'd have to look at the time of its development. Could be a very effective blade sword breaker, because it's going to catch, and at worst, it's going to bind. So that's going to let the wielder catch, bind, get that weapon out of the way, and do bad things with their other hand, potentially. I love it. I absolutely love it. I may not know the system, but that's definitely the kind of weapon I could pick up, wobble a bit, and go, okay, I can make this go. So that is a fascinating little weapon, and it would make such a sweet pole arm head. I'm pretty sure I've seen that as like a Yari variant, because that would just catch shields, remove. I love that. That's fun. Thank you, Dark Sun. I have seen that before. Like I said, it's been a long, long time. I'm gonna have to look into it. Yeah. Okay. But that is Dark Sun. That is definitely a really neat. That is a really neat weapon. And yeah, it's okay if they there's always the myth versus the application. And sometimes, especially with a historical weapon, the myth can be almost as important. It hits the heart, and I really, really dig that. Yeah, because helmet splitting, they call it helmet splitting blade, fact or fiction. I will look into that more, just because it's become interesting. I have heard of it, but Japanese armor is fascinating to me because so much of it's lamellar, and so many parts of it were lamellar, so it was articulated, unlike some of yeah. It's interesting. Okay, Dark Sun. This is I don't know if I know you real well. I lose track of people's online handles and stuff, so bear with me. This is the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream. We talk swords and we have fun. If it is off topic, that's not off topic. We're talking about a sword. We're having fun. I have something I might just dig into and research. You have greatly added to the conversation. Don't hesitate. Open this. I keep my chat open for just these kind of conversations. And guys, please hit the like button. I'm putting in an extra hour this week. A little bit of love. But we actually, guys, I will need to wrap it up pretty soon because I need to be able to basically get out of this chair. And sitting in the chair for 3 hours straight means my getup is not going to be a pretty thing for anyone to witness. So thank you so much. Guys, thank you for coming on the show and sticking with me. Oh, Elric! I know who you are now. That's awesome. Yes, it's almost 11 over there. I thought, okay, yeah, that you aren't interrupting. You should know by now. You're already well on your way to be old hat. Yes, absolutely, Dark Sun. It's about 10 minutes to 11, and the reason I usually cut my show off at 2 hours is I don't get up and take bathroom breaks as a rule. And while I don't need to, I have been ingesting a vast amount. But I can only sit in a chair for so long before I have some puns. Yes, 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 yes. Can you link pictures or something to how they came out? No, no. When I moved, what you're thinking is when I moved, I went ahead another hour. So where you moved from to where I was 2 hours, but where I am is it's not Foxy. It's not a chair. It's not the chair. I do need possibly a better office chair, but I damaged myself in bouncing out of a pickup truck at 35 miles an hour and going head over bum a couple times when I was young. And I've never, like, sitting for long periods of time causes me a good deal of pain. It's just it's a natural part of being unnatural. Yes, yes. You are. I moved. I have a new home. It's closer to Lafayette, Indiana, by Purdue. I mean, like that, but yeah. I basically the how Nick walks and functions at any given point is impressive. They still have it. Like, I was 6 months from being in a wheelchair. 10, let's see, 15 years ago, something like that. I did physical therapy to the best I can, and I'm still semi-functional. But there are limitations, and I'm trying to hang on for Dark Sun's link to see what he has, and if not, I can catch it later. But I just whatever else happens, thank you so much, Sword Sage, for hopping on. I have missed you dearly. I want to thank John Miner for always wading in and talking. Hearing from Steve is always a dream. Cindy Kep is an absolute freaking goddess. Uh, yeah, we need to talk. I do a lot more live conversations than I used to as a product. Kitty, thank you for coming on. Bladed Thesis and Foxy are, of course, and you guys. Several of these people are the Patreon patrons, and along with folks like Stef Mari, who couldn't be on because she's working, but she commented to check on me, and Ronald Riehn, who I don't get to talk about, and my man Steve Augusta. Steve Augusto has been a day one patron despite huge losses, and he's an absolute hero. So I want to thank you guys. Uh, yes, I will see about getting a better chair. But I want to thank you guys for just. I couldn't keep doing this without you. These headphones are because I can do this and have better audio because of my patrons. I'm able to write my books because the money let me buy a adaptive keyboard and adaptive mouse because I can't anymore work traditional jobs. The physicality and some other issues, along with caring for my son, means I could either be completely unemployed and just take care of my son, which would be fun because I love my son, but that's not quite what I am in total. So it really is an absolute pleasure and honor to do what I do. No worries. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, and show me. I love to hear what you have about them. I am going to say that the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by my aforementioned patrons. Please, if you like what I'm doing, uh, oh yes, I'll be seeing some of you people fairly soon, and I can't wait to meet you in like person. Um, Most of the people I know, I will be meeting who are members of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, who are putting out quality independent content just about every day of the week. And there's a note on the back that has a reference to the game stuff that I'm not going to share here because it's inappropriate. The Historical Fencing Guild is also brought to you by The Money I Earn, selling the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe. Both of these are available at www.amazon.com slash slash author slash Nicholas Talker. I have stuff slides going on. We're also supported by the Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, the RPG. I wrote it. It's Luke Stone's amazing comic book universe. Oh, thank you so much. Those are still available through Indiegogo at .me, Indiegogo.at.me, Indiegogo.com. I'm sorry, igg.com/at/me the Killing Fields. I have the link in the description. Should be Killing Fields 2. And guys, please, yeah, Stuff Lanches. I need to redo my office. I haven't been able to do it because the heat in here kind of overwhelms me. But this is going to get a complete redo in the near future, possibly even this coming weekend. Anything you guys can do to support is welcome. Anything else you guys need? If you have a sword fighting problem or question, that's part of what the Historical Fencing Guild public Facebook group is for. Because if I don't know, a lot of the people on the group might, and if we don't know, we'll find out because we want to know. That's kind of what we're about. I consider myself a footstool. I'm not a big fancy guy. I'm not wealthy. I'm not powerful. All I can do is kneel down, put my fingers like this, and give people maybe a little boost. And if I can do that and help people reach the next level, that's what I'm about, folks. And spreading joy and just I'm trying to make the world a better place the best I can. To your comment, Steve, I have to completely redo my garage in the next couple weeks for other reasons. Once that's done and I see how the space is laid out, I'll be able to tell you what size we might need for mats. He's talking about making mats available for us. Guys, I love what I do, and I love serving you guys. And the community we have here is probably the best online. It is an honor, it is a privilege. So please hydrate. Do your drilling, folks. First video on the channel shows you the simple sword method. Keep your guard up, keep your eyes open, keep your heart light. And as always, support your local sword master.